One thing I like to do when I'm flipping, a lot of guys don't do this, but for me, my right hand is, my right arm's a lot stronger than my left arm. So I want my dominant arm to have my rod in the hand. So what I do is I'll go with a left-handed reel. So when I'm pitching, I always have a hand on my reel, and then I always, I don't have to switch over. I just go like that, flip real quick. Boom, if I get a bite, I'm already set. Where a lot of guys, they'll pitch with their right hand, switch, and then reel with the right hand,
Right.
So, I mean, sometimes it doesn't matter when they're eating it, but sometimes, there's few instances where it makes a difference. And, when you're tournament fishing, every bite counts. There's a lot of tournaments where you're one bite away from a check, or one bite away from a top 10, or one bite away from, a win. And
Yeah.
those small little things, I think, help you catch more fish or land more.
How heavy you weight?
I got an 1.5 ounce Picasso. It's 97% tungsten. You want to go with the smallest weight you can get away with punch through this stuff. And the higher percent tungsten, the smaller weight you're going to get. A lot of the lesser brands are 92, 93% tungsten, but Picasso's got 97%. So you don't think it makes a difference, but when you get up to 1.5 ounces, you can tell the difference.
Dang, nice. Hold on.
You made a great point there, fishing out of the back of the boat. The only way you're going to learn to do competition fishing is be in competition when you're learning. And those guys teach you a lot, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely do. And I think Justin actually started out of the back of the boat too. And a lot of these guys, Scott Martin started out of the back. And I mean, it's almost like going to college or university. You got to take your 2 or 3 years. I mean, you can't just jump in as a professional right off the bat. Because I mean, these guys are good, and they'll take your money, So it's a great way to learn. It's a great way to make money, and and you meet a lot of great friends. I made a ton of friends last year, and it's definitely a great time.
Casey Martin is one of the smartest guys I know. He fishes the FLW Tour as a co-angler. He's taking all that information he's learning fishing out of the back of the boat with the country's best anglers and applying it to his own fishing. He fishes the Everstarts, BFLs, local tournaments as a boater, as a pro, and doing very, very well with it. Casey is a Canadian. He was relocated to Huntsville, Alabama as part of a career he has in electrical engineering for the automotive industry. So he calls Lake Guntersville home. He's good friends with Elite Series pro Derek Rimitz and FLW Touring pro Craig Dowling. And he fishes grass quite a bit being on Lake Guntersville, so he's a real savvy grass fisherman. I welcome the opportunity to go fishing with him. This is winter 2012. This is the off-limits period between the FLW Everstart and the FLW Tour on Lake Okeechobee. We found some lakes within driving distance to Okeechobee. Casey went out and showed me what he was doing when it came to pitching, punching, and flipping the grass. I learned a ton. Just an excellent session about keeping it simple and going fishing. Casey has perfect mechanics. He reminds me of a major league pitcher going through his wind-ups and things. He just has a very fluid pitch. Now watch when he brings his bait in. He uses the momentum to just sling the bait back out. He never touches the bait to his hand. He never swaps the rod over. But that real subtle cast, you reel it in and you sling it back out. he probably gets 1.5 times as many casts as someone who actually catches the bait in their offhand and then refires the bait back out there. It's a real subtle thing that's going on there, but it saves time and it is super, super efficient. He can just pick a spot apart very quietly, very silently. He can keep up with the momentum of his boat. He can power pull down and pick a spot apart very effectively, very efficiently. You can make the most amount of casts in the shortest amount of time, and that's what is a real critical component to grass flipping, is making the most casts, making the most presentations in a given amount of time. But that short cast is really something you got to pay attention to and be sure you're doing. The other part of Casey's mechanics are his hook sets. By using a left-handed reel, he's got his rod in his right hand. He's in perfect hook set position every time. I never saw Casey out of position. His mechanics are so disciplined, so fluid. Everything looks the same. I tell people when I swim bait fish, you got to be prepared to go hours and hours and hours making the same movements, the same casts, the same presentations, and not get sloppy. So when you do get the bite, you just do your hook set. You just react. You know what to do, and you do it properly. And Casey's got that figured out with his grass fishing. He's put a lot of time in this technique. Casey uses a Shimano Curado, Shimano Chronarch, and G Loomis flipping sticks. 70-pound Daiwa braided line. 2 setups, one for a beaver, one for a BB cricket, which we'll get into. But it's all about having consistent equipment, consistent gear, consistent mechanics, making the most and best presentations in the shortest amount of time, picking apart grass. I asked Casey to help me test the new Owner twist lock flipping hooks. It's a round bend, super high quality, super sharp, super strong flipping hook with the Owner centering pin spring mechanism to twist your baits on. It's real simple to rig, doesn't require a snell knot. You tie on the hook, you twist your baits on into place, and they rig real clean and easily. But Casey was just the man I was looking for to help me test these hooks. Push. Jesus, that didn't take no time.
See, one thing you can tell, a lot of times you'll know when you're flipping that fish has been here a while. It's a real dark looking fish. It means it's probably lives in this general area in that grass. You know, if you find some white fish, a lot of times they're just moving in from, out from the lake or the deeper water. But that guy, he's been living there a while. Yeah, I like this hook though. I mean, it's strong. I mean, you saw how gnarly that stuff was I was pulling that fish through.
How heavy a braid are you fishing? 70-pound samurai.
70-pound samurai braid. So.
1.5 ounce tungsten. Yeah. Picasso.
Usually when you have that kind of rig, usually the hook's the weakest point. You know, that line is not going to break. If anything bends or something, it's going to be the hook. You know. Right. You got a 7.5 foot extra strong flipping stick. It's not. It's usually the hook of the fish's mouth that gives. Right. All in all, I think Casey was pretty impressed by the Owner twist lock flipping hooks. Real easy to rig, real strong. I mean, he caught darn near everything that bit him. There was a lot of little fish and definitely some big ones. I mean, he had well over 20 pounds every time we went fishing. But he catch a bunch of little ones and catch some big ones. But that Owner hook was really doing some damage with that 1.5 ounce Picasso tungsten weight, the 420 Sweet Beaver in the penetration color. Just a real lethal classic combination on Okeechobee. He was fishing 70-pound samurai braid. It's interesting to note, I know that's the same line that Randall Tharp was fishing. That 70-pound seems to be a good compromise of a diameter and just a good quality line. But that system proved to be a fish catcher. The beaver, the 1.5 ounce tungsten, the Picasso tungsten with that high quality tungsten is just a smaller chunk. It's got a smaller profile, so it punches better than the lesser brands of tungsten. So you've actually got a bigger weight when you're dealing with a lesser quality piece of tungsten. A couple things I like about this owner hook here. I've been kind of testing it this week. It's got a screw lock in it, and it actually allows the bait to fall in place on that hook. It's got a real strong hook for flipping and get some, you get a big fish like that out of those hyacinths and stuff like that. You gotta, a lot of times their mouth is real hard and they'll straighten out that hook. But this owner, it's a 4-aught owner. It's got a twist lock.
Take a look at a Gambler BB Cricket next to a Sweet Beaver. The BB Cricket's about 50% smaller than the Sweet Beaver. What that means is, and this is a little trick that Casey helped me understand, if you fish a Gambler BB Cricket on a 1-ounce piece of tungsten, you can punch that thing in places that would require 1.5 ounces on a Sweet Beaver. So just the smaller profile allows it to punch better. Basic, simple blocking and tackling stuff around being a better grass fisherman. Good stuff, Casey.
One of the things I like about this rig here with the BB Cricket, it's got a real small profile compared to the beaver. A lot of times fish will keep seeing that beaver and they get kind of accustomed to it, especially down here in Florida. But this BB Cricket, cold fronts, or if there's high pressure, they seem to eat that real well. And the hook, you can see how it penetrates right at the head, so there's not much they can grab without getting that hook. So it kind of helps your hookup ratio when you're using a big weight and big line like that.
Excellent. Oh, nice fish.
Thought he was bigger than that. Mouth was big. I got two baits set up. One is the Sweet Beaver, color penetration on 1.5 ounce tungsten. But today they're biting kind of funny, and I actually switched over to the Gambler BB Cricket. It's a little smaller profile. I'm guessing that front that went through the other day kind of messed them up. I got it on 1 ounce. That small profile of the Cricket, it actually allows you to use a little bit lighter weight because it comes through the hyacinths a lot easier. So got it rigged on a 3-aught.
Dude. Oh, nice.
Strong.
Nice. Oh!
There we go.
What was that one on?
Cricket again. Junebug BB Cricket, ounce Picasso tungsten weight, 70-pound Daiwa braid. There's the results.
Gosh, damn.
Today I was caught most of the fish. It's kind of post-frontal out here. Caught most of the fish on a Junebug Gambler BB Cricket. It's 1 ounce Picasso tungsten weight, and I'm fishing it with a bobber stop as well, pegging it to get through these hyacinths right here, as you can see to the right. It's on a 3-aught Gamakatsu heavy wire flipping hook. Has a little holder there for the bait. Let me see if I can turn it there. A little holder for the bait, keeps your cricket from sliding down. Junebug color, flip in there, you catch a couple good ones.
Brandon Medlock has won the FLW Everstart tournaments on Lake Okeechobee the last 2 years in a row on his namesake family Medlock jig. Ish Monroe would win the Bassmaster Elite Series tournament on a jig a month or so after this was filmed on Okeechobee. This is not Okeechobee. But Casey helped me understand what was going on with the jig bite, which is mostly when and where to throw it. The more sparse stuff, the isolated clumps of reeds where there's gaps and space in between the reeds, the isolated clumps with grass around them. But the jig is just a tool that complements the beaver and the cricket approach. You can slide that jig into places that you don't need any punching to get done. You can just plop that jig in there and it sinks down. It's a 1 ounce jig. You'd think that thing sinks like a rock, but I've got an ugly otter as a trailer. It's a real, actually buoyant jig. It doesn't fall that fast. But boy, the big fish eat it. So something that Casey helped me tune into was just, how to approach the sparse stuff. Pitch a jig to the sparse stuff. Use a cricket and a beaver to flip and punch into the heavy stuff. That simple. Everything Casey does in the grass is high percentage. The Devil's Horse is just a killer topwater bait in the grass lakes of Florida. It plays off of that theme rate of stall I've talked about. They eat it. So there's no need for screwing around. If you're going to throw a topwater bait, throw a Devil's Horse.
No! Hey, take me home. I want to get my boat. Oh! No!
Call it.
No! No!
Southern swim bait.
Oh no! Oh, good one. Oh.
Devil's Horse.
Hang on. Yeah, you know that? What is that little bugger?
Devil's Horse.
Uh-huh. Good work.
So here we are going from flipping and pitching some isolated clumps of hyacinth and reeds across a big grass flat. Casey picks up a gold rattle trap and proceeds to start smashing them again. I mean, everything he does is high percentage and seem to be right on time. Casey keeps it simple. He knows the handful of baits he needs to have on his deck. You basically need a gold rattle trap, you need a Devil's Horse,
Dude.
you need a sweet beaver, you need a gambler BB cricket, and you need a flipping jig. You need a medlock jig. That kind of covers it. And that's what Casey focused on. He went to these different lakes he'd never been to and had well over 20 pounds every time. He was catching 20, 30 fish a day, a lot of little ones, but he'd squeak out, some nice 5, 6, 7 pounders. Real impressive performance.
Oh, those are leech.
Bill Lewis rattle trap. As you can see, I've changed out the hooks. I put on a size 4 red Gamakatsu EWG. Then I just have the stock Gamakatsu hook that comes with the rattle trap. Again, it's gold, black back, orange belly. Real good color down here in Florida. As you can see, they really like it. Fishing it on 15-pound Seaguar fluorocarbon. It's a G Loomis fast action 7-foot medium heavy. It's actually kind of light for a medium heavy, but it allows you to snatch that trap out of the grass real good, fishing over some hydrilla and isolated clumps of coontail.
There are, of course, a lot of ways to catch fish in Florida, but Casey's approach basically covers the gamut with the exception of swimbait fishing. A little something I hope to add some clarity on in a future edition to the grass fishing conversation, but gold rattle traps, Devil's Horses, punching beavers and BB crickets, jigs. That's grass fishing in Florida. That's tournament grass fishing in Florida. Grass fishing can be overwhelming. So just having a simplified approach, knowing when to downsize, knowing what baits to pick up in between spots like the rattle trap and Devil's Horse, just simple things that are hugely effective. Casey Martin is a consummate professional. His career is going to go nowhere but up. Follow his fishing at caseymartinfishing.com. Casey keeps and maintains an excellent blog documenting his practice, his tournaments, his techniques, the companies he works with like Picasso, Omega, Rattle Trap, Evinrude, Ranger Boats. The products we featured in this video can be found and sourced through the southernswimbait.com blog post that complements this video. Until next time, this is Matt Peters, southernswimbait.com, wishing you simplified fishing, big fish, and a whole lot of fun out there.